Hello, I'm Christine Johnson, Chancellor of the Community Colleges of Spokane. Thank you for joining us, and it's so exciting to have an opportunity to hear and learn about the design and fabrication of artificial limbs, orthotics and prosthetics, and we have wonderful experts today that are going to be sharing what it is that they do and what this amazing program at Spokane Falls is able to do for our students and for this rapidly changing field. We have very fortunate to have with us the Department Chair for Allied Health Sciences at Spokane Falls, Bernard Huey.
Hello, Dr. Johnson.
How are you?
Great today.
So pleased to have you here. And Clay Wright, who is a program director. And Clay, you have the unique distinction of having been with the program for a number of years, and your insights about the program when you started and today will be really important to share with our viewers. So what is going on in this wonderful program, and what kinds of demand is there for the kinds of skills that the program provides?
Well, it's a program that is a part of rehabilitation medicine and a part of allied health sciences, though people don't think about it very much. Mm-hmm. Usually in allied health, people are thinking of more traditional, more publicly known allied health mm-hmm. occupations like nursing, mm-hmm. like physical therapy and so forth. But we build artificial limbs and orthopedic braces for people who have limb loss or mm-hmm. have had neurological deficiencies mm-hmm. that affects their ability to ambulate and participate in the activities of daily living. So I've been with the program. It's one of 6 in the country mm-hmm. that provides this education. We're the only ones on the West Coast. I've been with the program since 1993. And when I started, the artificial limbs that we were training students to fabricate were largely made of wood. And now the industry continues to evolve and constantly import new technologies and new materials and designs, so that now limbs frequently have microprocessors in them mm-hmm. and computer chips and so forth, so they do amazing things that people never could imagine 20 years ago. So it's been a real fun evolution for me as a prosthetist in this industry to be able to train students in these custom fabricated devices using this new technology.
It's just fascinating. It's a fascinating field. Right. Bernard, your insights as department chair.
Well, as department chair, I kind of oversee the activities of our related allied health programs, physical therapy assistant, the occupational therapy assistant, and the hearing instrument specialist. Also being an instructor in the program, I come at this from 24 years of clinical practice prior to coming here in 2004 to teach. Mm. And what I have seen and what really energizes me is that although most community college programs work with people in the community, mm-hmm. the students come from the community and they train and they go back and work in the community. Since this is a national program, we bring people in from out of area mm-hmm. and give them some pretty unique training, and then they go off to all parts of the country to work. So we really spread out the training. Again, as Clay mentioned, one of 6 programs. So we occupy a unique position in community colleges mm-hmm. as a program and in the industry as a whole.
I really want to restate that because, of course, I believe CCS is a statewide treasure. We serve the eastern region. However, the students you're talking about in this program, you're saying come from all over the country, and that Spokane Falls is one of 6 community colleges in the country, and there are 1,200 community colleges. Wow. To say that there are only 6, and Spokane Falls is one of the colleges that provides this invaluable program with it seems like very rapidly changing technologies, and that it's remarkable. It's remarkable. The students come from all over.
Including international students.
So international students.
Right. Currently we have a student from Russia who just started with us. We've very recently had students from Germany and we've had them from Barbados.
Interesting.
Liberia, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
several from Japan and Canada.
Interesting. So now, are you doing much marketing internationally, or just the program itself? The reputation. I know it has an excellent reputation. Or is it just the demand for these skills and materials and
It's a combination of things. We actively market within our industry. It's a small community. There's probably 5,000 practitioners who are the clinical end,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
less than that as far as the technicians. So it's not a large industry as far as manpower goes. So we know a lot about each other, and we informally network, and we get phone calls, inquiries through email on an almost daily basis from practices from coast to coast,
Sure.
or saying they have some manpower needs, we need to hire, we're expanding, we need to hire. And so we understand, we had somebody who worked with your company come through as a clinical, and we liked it. And so a lot of times our students are our best ambassadors for
Sure.
us.
Sure.
And so we're on the major educational networks for our industry, and so we
Okay.
get a lot of informal and formal feedback and interest from that.
And then our students, then some come here from other places to study, but then our students from Eastern Washington, they must be in demand to go elsewhere too. So the placement of the students must be an important part.
Very
of it.
important. With 3 facilities in the Coeur d'Alene, Spokane area that provide orthotic and prosthetic services, then moving east down to the Tri-Cities and west to the Tri-Cities and further west to Seattle area, there's not a lot of venues. We tell our prospective students up front that this is a great industry, great profession with lots of potential. If you're willing to relocate and start your career,
Okay.
and we can give you guidance on that, you are going to be able to have a good start to a rewarding career with a lot of different pathways to work, but you need to be able to move.
Sure, sure. So that's one of the things you tell students up front.
Sure.
You know,
Yes.
the opportunities may be outside of our region, is what you're saying. I mean,
Right.
there's only so much demand in this
That's
region,
right.
and so.
Yeah.
So what kind of percentage would you say of the students stay in the area? What percentage would you say leave the area for either other states or other countries, perhaps?
Well, it's almost 100% the latter, in
Okay.
which we tell our students up front that this, as Bernard said, this is a wonderful profession to enter and can give you a career that will last you your entire life. However, relocation is necessary
Okay.
because those 3 facilities that Bernard mentioned
Are the
they're
ones in this
saturated.
area, so that's it. So
Yeah.
okay.
So all of our students have to relocate.
So,
and
so they know
develop-
that, but obviously they choose this field because
Sure.
they're interested in it
Right.
and want to
Right.
make a difference. In
It
that.
gives them a chance to work with their hands because it's everything we do is custom made. An orthosis or an artificial limb, a prosthesis, they all have to be custom made for the individual. We buy components that are ready made by various manufacturers,
Sure.
but there's a tremendous customization to their fabrication. And so people get to work with all kinds of power equipment and tools and specialized machinery and so forth. It's very fun work for people who don't want to be in a sedentary type of job.
Right.
And so that's enough of a, if they want to do that kind of work and they want to help people, typically they're willing to relocate to get that kind of work.
Okay. So it's allied health, but there's also manufacturing in
manufacturing
it. So it's really kind of almost one of those interdisciplinary careers that
bridge
obviously it's
several-
about health.
We're,
but-
we're light manufacturing, light one-off custom manufacturing. However, with a medical device.
Yes.
And
yes,
so
yes.
we have one foot in the clinical end with patients and things, plus another in the manufacturing. So I think it's unique in that respect
It
too.
is very unique that, it just struck me as you were talking about it's, you're building things. Well, that's a manufacturing side, but it is health related.
Yeah,
So
it's
just-
manufacturing that's dictated by prescription.
Yes.
We have
yes.
to dispense our devices,
Yeah,
which is kind of odd
exactly.
when you
It
think
is.
about manufacturing.
It is fascinating.
And if you think about it, most industries who manufacture things, it's not for anyone in particular. So they're manufacturing bulk devices, hundreds and thousands of them. We manufacture for individuals.
individual.
So you get to see the results immediately. There's no delayed results from
Right.
that. And that's the real energizing part that a lot of students like to have, because what they do has an immediate impact.
An immediate impact, as you
Yeah,
said, on that
Instead of
person
making-
who needed the the device.
Right,
So that's
right. And to be able to see that person, come into the office, start the process, and not be able to ambulate. They're using
Right, and now they
wheelchair
can
or
move
crutches.
and
then when they leave the office, they're doing so on the device that you built. It's very gratifying.
very, very, very fascinating. So where's this field going? I mean, it's just, I'm sure, as you were talking about your 20 years and at one point the wooden devices and, the weight of those, I imagine, and then now the materials that are available. What do you see in the future?
Oh, in the future, there's a lot of development going on in the design end. There's work being done on what's referred to as osseointegration in prosthetics, and that will be a socketless prosthesis in which, instead of having an interface such as this that a person's residual limb is contained within, instead we'll be screwing a prosthesis right onto the end of a bone.
Oh my.
It's very much like a dental implant.
Oh my.
But it's taking a long time to perfect that procedure, and not everybody is going to be a candidate for that kind
right.
of prosthesis.
Okay.
So the traditional type will always be with us, but that's one direction that the profession is heading.
Interesting. So I suppose we have stents for heart conditions. There would be a screw into the joint or wherever.
Right.
Yeah.
A coupling that's exposed and like that. And there's a direct connection between your skeletal bones and the actual device rather than some intermediary socket for that.
Okay.
In orthotics, there's work done that's available now with joints that mimic the way we actually move so that people aren't walking with rigid extremities.
Okay.
The knee will flex and extend much like they normally do, and it will resist excessive bending.
Okay.
There's work more in the development stage with DARPA, which is the Defense Department's experimental agency, and overseas using exoskeletons for people who have neuromuscular weakness. And an exoskeleton is nothing more than a framework which goes around you. We've seen popular movies where people will don some type of suit which amplifies their strength and things. Well, that's not too far from reality. And DARPA is interested in it because they're looking at active duty service, obviously is using that as a force multiplier.
Sure.
And all that trickles down to the community and what it can do for, civilian patients and things. So we're getting a lot of work coming down from research in the military and in the universities and finding its way into commercial ventures like that. So that's really exciting.
It's very exciting to hear about this program at Spokane Falls Community College and the advances being made in the fields of orthotics and prosthetics and the fabrication of new materials. And we're so excited to serve this region this way and to have such distinguished faculty who are part of our program at Spokane Falls Community College. We're going to take a quick break.
Callie Hanna is a first-year student in the Orthotics and Prosthetics program at Spokane Falls Community College. She was inspired to enroll after spending some time at Shriners Hospital in Portland.
When I started, I thought I was going to want to do orthotics, but now that I started out in prosthetics, it's really fun, and I think that if I become practitioner and stuff, I'm probably going to focus towards the prosthetic side of it.
After attending a couple of universities and changing her major a few times, she's thrilled with what SFCC has offered.
It's really hands-on, and there's a lot of one-on-one time because it's so small. I've never experienced that before. Never experienced not sitting in a giant lecture hall being talked at, actually getting to do stuff, so it's really great. I like the one-on-one attention with the professors, the teachers, because you learn so much more.
Stephen Francis couldn't agree more.
We have two excellent instructors. Clay and Bernard are very knowledgeable and many, many years of experience in private practice and then in teaching.
Francis chose the Orthotics and Prosthetics program after retiring from a banking job in San Diego.
It's a career that you can help a lot of people. You can, have a very nice life and income, and it's a related health sector that'll be in demand for many, many years.
Because the program is only 2 years, students learn a lot in a short amount of time.
We start out doing basic braces, stirrups, and metal braces. We do what's called ankle-foot orthosis, and then we do next step, so that would be below the knee. And then we start going above the knee. We do what's called KFOs, which is knee-foot orthosis. In prosthetics, a little different in that we're building artificial limbs for people. Same program here. We start out with below the knee, then we work our way up. And now I'm in the last quarter, we're doing upper extremities. So we're doing arms and things like that right now.
Both students were also impressed with how affordable the program is.
They've created an awesome thing up here, so it's really great.
Welcome back to Making the Grade. I'm Christine Johnson, Chancellor of the Community Colleges of Spokane, and we've been joined today by Bernard Huey, the Department Chair for the Orthotics and Prosthetics at Spokane Falls.
Yeah, along with Allied Health.
And the Allied Health program, and with Clay Wright, who is the director of the program, and the amazing innovation taking place. Now, it's just fascinating to any viewer, the work that you're able to do. But the students who are tuning in, what do they need to know if they're interested in signing up for the program? What are some of the requirements? Who might be interested in this program? What are some of the prerequisites, experiences or skills that the students need?
Well, there are no direct prerequisites for entering our program other than those that are required to get into the SFCC campus itself.
Okay, so just the general admission for the Spokane Falls.
However, that doesn't mean anyone can come in. We insist upon, when possible, an informal interview with the student because we want to get to their motives for entering our program, make sure they have a good understanding of what it takes. Although the program has been designed for the person who knows nothing about the industry and may or may not know anything about the tools and materials, they have the curiosity about the field and industry. They have an artistic or creative bent to them that may not be directly related to what they do, but they may like to draw, sculpt, do things like that. So it shows that they have the hand-eye ability and the imagination.
For design.
For design and how to visualize a device from raw materials and parts. They have that creativity. But most of all, I believe they have the drive and the interest to do something that's really has value to others.
Right.
And so they're not in it specifically to make money. There's a lot of other programs and fields of endeavor that you can do that. But they're here in service to others. They like what they do, they like the impact they have on it, and they get to satisfy their creative side as well as the practical side. And so we had students come from all different walks of life, right out of high school to people in their 50s who are changing careers by choice or not. Men and women, people with some disabilities, others. But everyone has potential, and most of them self-select themselves coming in. So we are. It's great because we get to work with people who already have that ability, and we just have to polish it.
Really successful students already have hand skills,
That's
and they've
true.
grown up in an environment where they've become familiar with tools and they're not intimidated by working with equipment and so forth.
Right.
Bernard mentions the artistic part. We do want to have people who have some creativity to them, but they have to understand coming in that it's the work is production oriented and deadlines have to be met. So people have to be willing to stay on their feet all day long, working from station to station, standing for lengths of time at pieces of power equipment like band saws and drill presses and so forth. People with heavy gross motor skills that are changing careers, and perhaps they've had a type of job that they use their big muscles, sometimes aren't as successful making the transition to using fine motor skills because they have to sew, for heaven's sakes.
Right, it's the smaller.
Right. One of the nice things about it too is it covers a diversity of different kinds of materials that you work with. We work with plaster, we work with thermoplastics, we work with resin, we work with leather. We sew and bend metal and rivet and take apart shoes and rebuild them. It's a very broad, diverse field.
So that's very fascinating for the students to understand kind of both the range of program skills and materials and backgrounds, really. But you seem to have students from a broad cross-section of experiences.
And it's been amazing to me. First starting out in the training of this, I have preconceptions of what a good student would be, but I'm amazed and challenged daily by the diversity and where they come from, and the success they show is surprising and very rewarding for that. So you could be anybody, and still, if you have certain traits, you can be very successful.
And I really heard your comment about students wanting to be in the service of others, allied health, helping others get healthy. So the students design and fabricate. What are the kinds of things they build? Can you show us some of the...
Sure. For extremity prosthetics and orthotics, sometimes people get confused when we talk about prosthetics. They think about internal hip joints and knees that people have to have replaced all the time. We don't do that. We do extremity prosthetics and orthotics. So devices such as this, where we're replacing a hand, devices such as this, where someone who has a neurological deficit can no longer ambulate. They're not an amputee. They have their limb intact, but it no longer works under voluntary control, and they need a brace. So students have to custom fabricate a device like this because it won't fit anyone else. It doesn't meet the prescription.
So it's for one particular individual.
Absolutely.
It's not,
Won't fit
again,
anyone
masses.
else.
It's one person who's...
That's right. And everything is made from scratch. So that's pretty intriguing. They have to bend the metal. They have to align everything so that joints work with perfect congruity. A person has to be able to sit down in a chair, but stand up with absolute stability, because if it fails, the person may have an accident.
Sure.
So everything has to be made to a very precise specification. And you can see from the colors and things that nowadays people are able to import a little bit of creativity.
Sure, and personalize it to their taste, if you would. And,
so students are doing all kinds of things that are a little bit more artistic, and our students, do a lot of fun stuff that they get to use their creativity on. And some amputees and people who use our services want this sort of thing. Others want to obscure their device so it looks like a very natural prosthesis or orthosis. So we cover it with
may I feel that?
You may.
It is, and so is this
someone wanted a flame
plastic
job.
or what's the material?
It's a laminated composite, and primarily this arm is made from a nylon fiberglass mixture. But usually people nowadays want carbon fiber. It's the black fabric that looks that the space shuttle is made from, for instance, and people are very intrigued by that kind of appearance.
Well, it is. So this is kind of bold. It makes a
Very
statement.
Bold. Other people would want to hide it, and so we can make it look like a cosmetic restoration of their good side.
Okay. Fascinating. It's fascinating.
Tagging along with what Clay's talking about, the cosmesis, again, at a certain point in the industry, everybody wanted realism. I did not want anyone to know that I have an artificial limb. So a lot of energy and effort was put into the cosmetic part of it to make it look realistic, which is very hard to do, if not impossible. You can come close, but all things considered, you can't do it. The nice thing, I think it's nice that as we come forward to this time of year, a lot of amputees, which you think are from war and turmoil, that some of the younger ones like to have the prosthesis out front and center.
So it's a visible thing.
Right. And high profile. So they like to have different designs, fabrics, because they understand I am an amputee, but that's just...
The stigma of disability is disappearing, and that's particularly gratifying with children.
That is.
Because in the school setting, children can be so ostracized by having a deficiency that makes them different from their peers.
And this is just saying this is who they are, and it's just not hiding it, and that kind of that confidence too.
And we can make things with rainbow colors. We can make things with the Power Rangers and so forth. And it's
fascinating. It is. So. What is this device?
This is a fairly sophisticated device. It's called an Ilimb Hand from a company in Ohio called Touch Bionics. And it's considered a myoelectric hand. And there have been a lot of advances in upper extremity prosthetics recently. This is actually a fairly old design in which we have a socket and a battery pack, and there are some electrodes inside that contact the person's skin. Don't invade the skin, they just lay on top. And when you fire a muscle, a residual muscle mass, a tiny electrical current is given off which the electronics pick up and use to open or close a terminal device. We call it a terminal device. Other people would refer to it as a hook. So without cables and so forth, a person can use this prosthesis, and just with flicking a muscle,
Just the movement, the natural
they
movement
can open and
of
close a terminal device to operate, you know, to manipulate their environment. The Ilimb Hand, I've got a little cuff I can use. The Ilimb Hand is one in which the electrodes are worn in a socket against the skin, not with a little cuff like this. I'm not an amputee, so I have to ad lib. But if you switch it on, the difference here between this kind of prosthesis and that is here we have individual digits that are working by themselves independently.
I see.
And so a person can modify their grasp simply by extending or flexing the muscles that used to control their hand.
So it's really reading the movement of the arm. Right, to move the digits.
So a person can create a much more sophisticated grasp sequence. They can create a buttress type grip. So they can grab things, you know, like you normally would here, or they can, you know, modify the pattern so that they can grasp cylindrical objects. They can also program this hand because it's computer-based so that it can perform various functions that are peculiar to that or desirable to that individual. And so it has a point feature and so forth. This one isn't programmed that way. It's just programmed to do basic grasp functions. But if I could do better, I could get the thumb and the forefinger to come together, and that's pretty interesting.
Oh, I see.
And you can operate the machine slowly or quickly.
I see.
You can increase or decrease the grasp strength by how strong a muscle contraction you import to it, and so forth and so on. So it's pretty interesting from the days of hooks and cables and so forth to devices like this. It's exciting to see the directions the profession is taking and all the different things that students can look forward to, you know, being a part of in the future.
When I was just thinking of the complexity of the curriculum, really, of all the things that the students are learning, everything from the design to the materials of fabrication, but also the kind of the how it works, kind of the mechanics of the that. So the teaching, I know, has to be superior to get all of that across to the students.
Yes, we have a limited amount of time within the competency-based education system to get all this information across. In the relative weights of the different kinds of information that's constantly changing in response to what the industry, what the profession needs to have out of their technicians. So we've really seen a change from purely hands-on fabricating in the back, making things, to having a more clinical understanding of the theory behind why I'm making this way, which is so important. It gives you insight and helps you figure out some complex problems because you know what the end result is.
It's just amazing to hear about the Spokane Falls program and in prosthetics and orthotics and the design and fabrication of it in our allied health program, and the future that this program will provide for the individuals who need these devices as well as for the students in the workforce. I'm so pleased to have had these very special guests and hope you'll help me appreciate the great work that our faculty at Spokane Falls are doing, and Bernard and Clay, you're just amazing, and we're so proud of this program and the work that you're doing on behalf of Spokane Falls and to serve this community.
Thanks, Dr. Johnson. We are very happy to have this venue. It's unique in the industry, and we love to be able to be a part of that, and the Falls provides an excellent environment for that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
This is Channel 19, Community Colleges of Spokane. Educational television for lifelong learning.